it should be also commensurate with what they have actually collected from people.
Maybe.
Because yes, because sometimes we've seen the telecoms, the NCC, they tell the nation that they have fined one, telecom company or the other. But when you look at what has actually gone down from subscribers, is not even commensurate with the fines. And in any case, when you collect fines, do you give it to me that has actually been shortchanged?
We have a regulation
in
NERC called the enforcement rules, and the fines are actually per minute fines.
Enforcement rules. I think we have to let people know.
Honestly,
many don't.
All right.
Okay. I know you'll understand because people are reacting. They've got a lot
but again,
of
Chimla, we still
questions
haven't actually known or be told who collects the fine. If I'm being shortchanged,
the regulator imposes the fine and collects it.
And what about me, the consumer? Because the consumer has a right, and the consumer's right has been actually breached here. And if he's complained and the regulatory body has actually stepped in on my behalf, then I should get some compensation from what you've gotten.
You want to share the fine with the commission?
Is it an impossible situation?
No.
What about?
No, what you have is a rebate to the customer. It's also provided for in the same regulation.
How does that work?
You just simply provide the service, of course, all right, and the rebate takes the form of more energy provided to the customer without being paid. Yeah.
More energy without being paid.
Yeah.
Because Nigerians will keep asking questions.
Nice.
If we talk about drop calls and so many other things for NCC, not you, and you collect some fine on my behalf and I don't get a bit of it, that's a problem. And that's the same trend NERC shouldn't actually get into.
What trend?
Collecting fine on behalf of the consumer,
you just
without the consumer having a bit of it.
Okay.
Because it's not your right that has been breached, it's me, the consumer.
Point made.
And if you're my policeman, then I should get a feel
I think
of
we're
it.
actually going on a little bit about this. I think the point has been made. You have rules in place that impose penalties on those that do not provide you with service. That's the important thing. You don't want money, you want service. All right? It's fine, psychologically to say that a rebate has been made to you, but a rebate can continue being paid to you. That's not what you are engaged in a contract with your disco for. You're engaged with your disco to provide you with electricity. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on trying to get electricity to your house.
Do you also see a situation where, say this, because the fixed charge is a little contentious.
Yeah.
Do you see a situation where the fixed charge could be attached in some way? Because you've said that we also manage to pay for that with our phone lines, when you pay tariff, but you don't get to notice because it's also in the tariff of some sort, in the sense that you're paying for it per second as you use it.
Yeah.
Do you see a situation where that could actually be the case, where this fixed charge is also a part of the tariff, what you pay per kilowatt hour?
I need to go into a little bit into the economics of the power business here. And forgive me if I sound a little bit pedantic. In that regard, telecoms and power are not quite the same. If you remember 2001, January, MTN and Co. were licensed in 2001 in January. They got their license in January. By August, they were in business. In fact, actually earlier in some places, in some parts of Lagos. Around here, via Eyo Ekpo. They were already in business by July. All right. And spread across at least the commercial parts of Lagos by August. That's because wireless. All right. So your fixed asset base is actually quite low. What does it take to provide a mobile telecommunication service? A cell site, a few towers, and then you buy your handsets and you're in business. And then, of course, a mobile switching center. Okay. So those three assets put together, two of them belong to the telecoms company. The third is yours, your user device. It doesn't cost that much in terms of time or effort or money to actually roll out the telecoms network. It's totally different with the power sector. You've got three different sectors. You must build a power plant first. That's a major engineering facility. It's not rocket science. It's straightforward. But it takes time to build. Okay? Every 3 years. Okay. 1 megawatt of electricity, which is nothing at all, costs you something like $1.2 million. Okay. And if you want to make an impact in a place like this, Lagos, you need to build a few 400, 500, 1,000 megawatt plants. All right. And then you begin to feel the impact of the power. But That's only 1/3 of the equation. The second third of the equation is your transmission line. Those things they call high voltage. Those huge towers. You've got to sink piles into the ground. You've got to erect those towers. Then you have to string lines for thousands, hundreds, tens of kilometers to the load centers, to the people who need to be served. And then when it gets to the load center, you then have a distribution company. That's the final third of the equation. You have a distribution company, which is what we deal with. That's what we know. That's what we see, all right, on a daily basis. Ikeja Disco, Eco Disco, and all that. And they then have to build so many injection substations because you can't take 330,000 volts into your home. It has to be that thing they call step down, all right, through a number of stages until it gets to just 415 volts to get into your house, all right? So you need a whole bunch of transformers. You need a whole bunch of injection substations.
Some of which you buy ourselves for the...
Some of which you buy yourself. That's true. That's true. Which you used to buy yourself, but you can now get paid. You cannot recover the cost of that from your disco.
Okay.
So you need to go through these 3 stages. And that's why, and if you don't do those 3 stages together, there will be no power. Now, there is a 4th stage which we are now finding out because we were so focused on power before that we didn't realize that there's actually a 4th level, and that's fuel supply. Okay, so you build a power plant, you build a transmission line, you build a distribution lines and transformers, and then nothing happens because there's no gas, or there's no coal, or there's no water to turn a few turbines to create electrical energy. So all these have to come together. We can't do electricity by wireless. We'd all get electrocuted.
I totally understand that, but, you know, the analogy you've also painted is almost like as if there was no infrastructure existent before
There
now.
wasn't enough infrastructure.
Even where the infrastructure has been in existence, you know, power supply seems to have dwindled to those areas which used to enjoy relative...
I just told you about the 4th sector, gas.
Gas.
We have, on a daily basis now, something like 2,800 or 900 megawatts of available capacity stranded. No gas. Okay? We went through a reform program in the electricity sector, which moved ahead, but wasn't matched at the same pace by reform in the gas sector or in the oil and gas sector, or by changes in the gas sector that would be able to keep pace in terms of engineering work, in terms of reform work, in terms of creating the right kind of structures. We don't yet have a proper domestic natural gas market. We have an export market. We sell to lots of people outside Nigeria, but we haven't quite catalyzed one in Nigeria the same way, within the country, the same way we've done for electricity. And that shows it, and the consequences show.
Perhaps there's another sector which, you know, you're also not taking into consideration, which is communication. Because, you know, some people will say that they will understand if a clear plan, if they are a part of the plan. Because at the end of the day, what we're hoping to do is serve consumers who are right now, will I say, getting frustrated as to how things are, you know, currently going. In some areas, they say if there's going to be power outage, they like to know what is happening. They like to be spoken to. They like to know how long do I have to, you know, continue to provide electricity for myself until, you know, things are sorted out.
Maybe that's the 6th path.
Perhaps.
5th, perhaps. I agree with you. I do concede that both government and new owners probably have not done enough of communicating.
Do you think that's something NERC can work on?
We do communicate. Well, obviously, we're alone. And the thing about communication is it's all nice, it's all well and good to talk about communication here. The question that you then get asked is, so when is it going to all go away? Now, let's look historically at how that question has been answered. Never correctly. All right? Somebody will get up and say to you, so many thousand by so day, and we all wait. Okay? And you then set a target, not just for those who need to deliver service, but those who want to make sure the service is not delivered.
In other words, they shouldn't be setting that kind of target.
No, they shouldn't be. And we've learned that lesson the hard way. What are we talking about? And I don't think that we will ever talk about it enough. Okay? What we're talking about is actually what has been done, you know, to ensure that short term you can get some quick wins and deliver some power to some people, particularly in critical areas like industry. But more importantly, long term, how we can just try to ensure that we roll out these networks as they need to be done, which ought to have been done over the last 30 years.
You mentioned, you know...
We want to take a commercial break, actually. Pay some bills, but no worry. We'll be back and take a look at those and your questions as well. Mr. Ekpo is still here with us, so join us again if you can.